0627 hours. June 28, 2024. Big Bend, Texas. The Barrett M82 50 caliber rifle lay silent against the rocks, its matte black finish absorbing the pre-dawn darkness. Kira Bryn Holloway pressed her cheek against the stock, feeling the coolness of metal worn smooth by 2 decades of use. Through the Leopold scope at 35 power magnification, the world collapsed into a narrow tunnel of clarity. 2,387 meters downrange, a compound sat in the rocky valley like a fortress. The balcony, where Miguel Cordero would appear in 63 minutes, remained empty, wrapped in the purple gray of approaching dawn. Kira's right shoulder throbbed, deep grinding pain that radiated down her arm and up her neck. The rotator cuff injury that had ended careers for shooters half her age. The one she'd been hiding from Army medical boards for 8 months. Her hands trembled, just enough that the crosshairs danced across the target zone in tiny damning circles. She pulled back from the scope, closed her eyes, breathed. Kandahar, Afghanistan. 3 years ago. The memory hit without warning. Taliban commander in her crosshairs. 2,150 meters. Perfect conditions. Her finger taking slack on the trigger. The wind shift she didn't catch in time. The bullet missing by 4 inches. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes. 24 years old, married 3 months. Dead 6 hours later. Corporal Devin Wright. 22, father to a 6-month-old daughter he'd never meet. Killed in the fighting that followed. Both dead because she'd missed by 4 inches. Ma'am. Master Chief Callahan Brennan's voice came soft from her left. 51 years old, 30 years with the SEALs, her spotter for this operation. Thermals are building right on schedule. Wind holding at 4 miles per hour southwest. We're good. Kira opened her eyes. The sky had lightened another shade. Somewhere below, Miguel Cordero began his day, unaware that death watched from the ridge. Copy, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Cal shifted position slightly. She heard the rustle of his ghillie suit, the minute adjustment of his spotting scope. He'd known her father, had served with Colonel Marcus Holloway in Desert Storm, had been there when they brought her father's body home 8 years ago. How's the shoulder, he asked without looking away from his scope. Fine, she lied. Cal's tone said he knew exactly how fine it wasn't, but professionals knew when to ask and when to let silence speak. Through the scope, details emerged as dawn crept across the landscape. Guard rotations on the compound perimeter. Reinforced doors. The kill zone anyone would cross to reach the building. And the balcony, where intelligence said Cordero performed morning prayers every day between 0730 and 0745 hours. 15 minutes of exposure. 15 minutes to end a man responsible for 43 dead Border Patrol agents. A man negotiating with Iranian contacts to move dirty bomb components across the border. 1 shot, 1 chance. Possibly her last. The tremor in her hands picked up. 72 hours earlier, Fort Benning, Georgia. Heat waves shimmered off concrete as Kira stood in lane 7 of the rifle range. The Barrett lay disassembled before her, each component positioned with surgical precision. Barrel, bolt carrier group, receiver, magazine. Each piece worn in specific places where her hands had gripped them through 15 deployments, 4 combat zones, 73 confirmed kills. 22 years. All leading to this moment. Corporal Jensen, fresh from sniper school, watched from the next lane. Staff Sergeant Holloway, sir, said you're demonstrating the 1,200-meter cold bore shot. Kira nodded, her fingers moving through assembly. Barrel into receiver. Bolt home, magazine well check. Scope mount verification. 38 seconds. She'd timed it once in complete darkness. How long you been shooting? The Barrett Staff Sergeant. 22 years, Corporal. Jensen whistled. Must be nice being that good. Kira paused, looked at Jensen. 23 years old, all confidence and no scars yet. It's not about being good, Corporal. It's about being responsible. Every round carries weight. The ones that hit and the ones that don't. Both kinds haunt you. She lifted the Barrett, settled into position. Familiar weight pressed her shoulder. Pain started immediately. Dull throb that would build to screaming agony after a dozen rounds. 1,200 meters downrange, a steel silhouette waited. Kira's breathing slowed. In 4 counts, hold 4 counts, out 6 counts, heart rate dropping, 70 beats per minute, 60, 55. The world narrowed to scope picture. Reticle. Target, space between intention and impact. Finger pressure, 3 pounds, 4, 4.5. The Barrett roared. Recoil drove into her shoulder like a mule kick. Pain was immediate, electric spreading from the joint like wildfire. Kira didn't move, stayed in scope, watched vapor trail, counted seconds. The steel target rang. Center mass perfect. She safed the weapon, sat up. Her right arm hung limp before she forced it to move appear normal. Jensen grinned. Hell of a shot, Staff Sergeant. Thank you, Corporal. 20 minutes later, she was in the physical therapy office. Not the main clinic where Army doctors would make notes in her permanent file. Dr. Sarah Kimball was 54 civilian contractor, former Army. She knew what it meant when soldiers hid injuries. Let me see it. Kira stripped to her tank top. The shoulder joint was swelling angry red against pale skin. Dr. Kimball's fingers probed gently. Kira hissed at certain pressure points. You shot today. Demonstration for junior snipers. How many rounds? 1. And it's this bad from 1 round. Dr. Kimball stepped back. Kira, the rotator cuff is degenerating faster than we can treat. Every time you fire that rifle, you're doing cumulative damage. I can't keep patching you up if you... I know. Kira interrupted. I know. Silence filled the office. Outside, a drill sergeant put recruits through push-ups. Dr. Kimball moved to her desk, pulled out a folder. These are your retirement papers. Medical discharge. I've held them 3 weeks waiting for you to be ready. But Kira, you're 47 years old. You've given this Army 22 years. Walk away with your health somewhat intact. If you keep shooting that 50 cal in 6 months, you won't lift your right arm above shoulder height. In a year, you might need full joint replacement. Kira stared at the papers. Retirement. Medical discharge. Honorable service concluded. The end. I need 90 days, she heard herself say. Kira, 90 days. Standard out processing. Then I'll sign whatever you need. Dr. Kimball studied her, former Army. She understood things civilians didn't. Understood soldiers needed to choose their own ending, even if it cost them. 90 days. But if you fire that rifle again, you're risking permanent damage. Understand, Oda? Yes, ma'am. That evening, Kira sat at her kitchen table. The Barrett's hard case rested against the wall. Her father's rifle. The one he'd carried in Desert Storm. The one he'd given her the day she graduated sniper school. Take care of her, he'd said. She'll take care of you. 8 years since his funeral. 8 years since Marine Honor Guard folded the flag. 8 years since she'd promised at his graveside to make him proud. Her phone rang, unknown number, Washington, D.C. area code. Staff Sergeant Holloway. Holloway, Colonel Reynolds, JSOC Operations. Do you have a secure line, JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command? They didn't call for small talk. Give me 5 minutes, sir. Kira retrieved the encrypted satellite phone from her closet. Called back. Holloway, Reynolds said without preamble. We have a situation. Are you familiar with Miguel Cordero, the name registered? Cartel boss, Southwest region, responsible for fentanyl trafficking and killing Border Patrol agents. Yes, sir. Good. 3 days ago, SIGINT intercepted communications between Cordero and Iranian contacts. They're negotiating radiological materials. Dirty bomb components. Our analysts assess high probability he'll succeed unless we intervene. Kira's grip tightened. Sir, what does this have to do with me? There are SEAL Teams Delta, who've already tried. Cordero's hiding in Big Bend. The only viable approach is from a ridge 2,387 meters out. 3 SEAL snipers assessed it beyond their capability. Angle too steep, wind patterns, unpredictable target exposure, less than 15 minutes daily. 2,387 meters. Kira's mouth went dry. Sir, I'm on track for medical retirement. My shoulder. I know about your shoulder. I know you've got maybe a handful of shots left before that joint fails completely. Reynolds paused. I also know you're the only active duty sniper with confirmed kills past 2,300 meters. Your first round hit probability at extreme range is 87%. Next closest is 62%. She wanted to say no, hang up, sign retirement papers, walk away. But Reynolds wasn't finished. If Cordero moves those radiological materials across the border, analysts estimate an attack killing upwards of 2,000 American civilians, maybe more if detonated in a major city. We have 48 hours before he relocates. I need an answer, Staff Sergeant. Will you take the shot? Kira closed her eyes, saw Marcus Hayes smiling in a photo, saw Devin Wright's baby daughter, now 3, who'd never know her father, saw 2,000 faces she didn't know but might save. I need to know something, sir. If I can't make the shot, what's the backup? There isn't one. You're it, Holloway. This is the play. No backup. No second chance. Everything riding on her ability to put a 50 caliber round through a man's chest from nearly a mile and a half with a shoulder that could fail any moment. Worst tactical situation possible. Also exactly what she'd trained for. I'll need a good spotter. Someone who knows extreme range. Already arranged. Master Chief Callahan Brennan. He worked with your father. Cal, Of course it would be Cal. When do I leave? Transport lifts off Hunter Army Airfield at 0400 tomorrow. You'll brief in full at El Paso. Classified at the highest level. Tell no one. Understood, sir. The line went dead. Kira sat in darkness. The Barrett case seemed to grow larger, pulling at her, demanding attention. She unlocked it. Looked at the rifle that had been her constant companion 22 years. One more time, she whispered to the weapon, to her father's ghost, to herself. Her phone buzzed. Text from her husband, Michael. Civilian insurance work, never quite understood the military, but tried. Coming home tonight, Kira stared at the message. Thought about calling, explaining. But what would she say? That she was leaving for a mission that would destroy what remained of her shooting career. That she was choosing duty over healing. She texted back. Delayed on base. Love you, not a lie, just not the whole truth. Kira began packing with practiced efficiency. Uniforms, hygiene kit, medical supplies. The notebook where she kept ballistic data accumulated over thousands of shots. And the letters, 2 of them written and rewritten, 3 years never sent. Addressed to Mrs. Patricia Hayes and Mrs. Donna Wright, mothers of the men she'd failed to save. Dear Mrs. Hayes, you don't know me, but 3 years ago I failed your son. I was positioned as overwatch for his unit's assault. My mission was to eliminate a high-value target. I missed. Your son died in the fighting that followed. I know this letter can't change anything, but I wanted you to know I think about Marcus every day. I carry the weight of that failure. I wanted you to know it mattered. I'm sorry I took so long to find courage to tell you. With deepest regret, Staff Sergeant Kira Holloway. Similar words to Devin Wright's mother. Both letters lived in her deployment bag, carried but never mailed. What right did she have to unload guilt onto their grief? Packing for Texas. Kira folded the letters carefully. Maybe this time, maybe if she succeeded, she'd earn the right to apologize. 0300 hours, Hunter Army Airfield. The 1:30. Hercules sat on tarmac like a gray whale, 4 turboprop engines idling with deep rumble. Kira walked across runway, deployment bag over one shoulder, Barrett case in her other hand. The loadmaster checked her manifest, waved her aboard. Inside the cargo bay was nearly empty. Few pallets of supplies, no other passengers. Just Kira in the long flight west. She strapped in, kept the Barrett case close. One hand on it like a talisman. Engines spooled up. Aircraft shuddered, gathered speed, lifted into darkness. Kira pulled out her notebook, reviewed data by dim red cargo lights. Temperature coefficients. Wind correction factors. Coriolis calculations for different latitudes. Mathematics of death refined over 2 decades into art. Somewhere over Louisiana, she fell into uneasy sleep. Dreamed of Kandahar. Crosshairs dancing across target. Marcus Hayes and Devin Wright standing side by side, watching her with expressions she couldn't read. In the dream, her father stood behind them. Colonel Marcus Holloway in dress blues, weathered face kind. Did I make you proud? She asked. He didn't answer, just looked at her with pale blue eyes that had seen too much war. The loadmaster tapped her shoulder. Ma'am, descending into El Paso, 5 minutes. She wiped sleep away, checked her watch. 0920 hours. Day already burning hot when they touched down. A Humvee weighted engine running. The driver, a specialist with Ranger tab, saluted. Staff Sergeant Holloway, direct to Joint Task Force facility. The drive took 30 minutes. City sprawled in desert heat, all adobe and asphalt. South, somewhere beyond buildings and border, Miguel Cordero went about his day, unaware the United States military had sent its best shooter to end his life. The JTF facility was anonymous. Low building behind high walls, guard posts at every entrance. Kira showed identification at 3 checkpoints before clearing inside. All business. Secure communications. Tactical planning rooms. Quiet hum of controlled chaos marking military operations. A Navy lieutenant in Type 3 camis met her. Staff Sergeant Holloway, this way. Admiral's waiting. Through corridors to a briefing room. The lieutenant knocked, twice opened the door. Staff Sergeant Holloway, sir. Kira stepped inside, came to attention. The room held at least a dozen men in SEAL uniforms. At the head sat Rear Admiral Everett Cole. 53, iron gray hair. 3 rows of ribbons telling stories of decades in field. Standing to Cole's left, Master Chief Callahan Brennan. 51, graying beard, storm cloud eyes. Last time she'd seen him was her father's funeral, standing at attention in dress whites, tears running down weathered face. Staff Sergeant, Cole said, rising. Thank you for coming. Please sit. Kira set down the Barrett case, took the indicated chair. Every SEAL watched, evaluating, measuring, but she didn't see skepticism, just professional curiosity. Cole remained standing. Gentlemen, for those not briefed, this is Staff Sergeant Kira Bryn Holloway, United States Army. 22 years service, 4 combat deployments, 73 confirmed kills with 42 beyond 1,000 meters. He paused. Staff Sergeant Holloway holds the record for longest confirmed kill in Army history. 1,847 meters moving target Helmand Province, 18 months ago. A younger SEAL whistled softly. Cole continued. More importantly, she's personally requested because of her unique skill set at extreme range. He turned to Kira. Staff Sergeant, before full brief, I want to be clear. You're here because we believe you're the best person for this mission. Not best available. The best, period. Your service record speaks for itself. Everyone in this room respects that. Clear. Kira nodded, slightly off balance. She'd expected skepticism. Instead, Cole cut through all that with military efficiency. Clear, sir. Thank you. Good. Cole clicked a remote. A photograph appeared on screen. Miguel Cordero, mid-40s, cold eyes, expensive suit. Now let's talk about killing this bastard. The briefing took 90 minutes. Satellite imagery, signal intelligence, terrain analysis, guard rotations, every piece of data on Cordero's compound and daily routine. Numbers were daunting. 2,387 meters from nearest viable hide site to target balcony, 15-degree downward angle, unpredictable wind patterns from valley topography, thermal currents rising from desert. Target exposure window, no more than 15 minutes daily between 0730 and 0745 hours. 3 of our best snipers assessed this shot beyond their capability, Cole said. Too many variables, too much that can go wrong. He looked directly at Kira. That's why we need you. You've made impossible shots before. We're hoping you can make one more. Kira studied imagery. Her mind already worked calculations. Bullet drop at that distance with .50 BMG would be massive. Wind correction critical. Angle added another complexity layer. Objectively, one of the most difficult shots she'd been asked to make. I'll need time on a range, same elevation as target area if possible. Need to verify ballistic data at altitude and test ammunition. Already arranged, Cal spoke for the first time, voice gravelly worn smooth by decades giving combat orders. We have a facility in Guadalupe Mountains, 8,200 feet elevation. We can get you there this afternoon. Kira met his eyes, saw understanding. He knew what this meant, knew about her shoulder probably. Cal always could read people. Thank you, Chief. Lieutenant Commander Quentin Drake leaned forward. Mid-30s, thick beard, intelligent eyes. Name tape read Drake. Staff Sergeant, I'm leading the assault element. We'll position 3 clicks from compound waiting for your shot. When Cordero goes down, we fast rope and secure site extract intelligence. He paused. We'll trust our lives to your ability. I need to know, have you engaged targets at this distance? Fair question, asked respectfully. My longest confirmed kill is 1,847 meters, as Admiral said. I've trained out to 2,500 meters multiple times. At 2387, with proper preparation and favorable conditions, I assessed the shot as difficult but achievable. Drake nodded. That's all I needed, ma'am. One more thing, Cole said. He slid a folder to Kira. Latest SIGINT. Arrived this morning. Kira opened it, read the transcript. Blood went cold. Conversation between Cordero and Iranian contact. Discussing delivery schedules for cesium-137 sources. Medical equipment stolen from hospitals repurposed for terror. Enough radiological material to contaminate several city blocks caused panic across an entire metro area. Target Dallas, 4th of July weekend. Maximum casualties, maximum terror. If Cordero succeeds, Cole said quietly, we're looking at potentially 2,000 dead, tens of thousands injured, a city rendered partially uninhabitable. This isn't just about a cartel boss, Staff Sergeant. This is preventing catastrophic attack on American soil. 2,000 people. Kira thought about Marcus Hayes and Devin Wright, families she'd failed. 2,000 more families who might lose loved ones if she failed again. Her shoulder throbbed. Pain constant, now a reminder of her body's limitations. But 2,000 lives outweighed one shoulder joint. When do we leave for the range? Cole smiled, small but genuine. Cal takes you in 30 minutes. You'll have rest of today and tonight to prepare. We insert you in security element tomorrow at 0300. Mission window opens 0730. 36 hours to prepare for the most important shot of her life. Understood, sir. The briefing broke up. SEALs clustered around maps discussing assault plans. Kira stood, picked up the Barrett case, found Cal waiting by the door. Walk with me, he said, outside into brutal afternoon heat. Found a quiet compound corner where they could talk unheard. How bad is it? Cal asked without preamble. How bad is what? The shoulder, Kira. Don't play games. I've known you since you were 12, running around your father's ranch pretending to be a Marine. I can see how you're holding yourself. See the pain you're hiding. Kira looked away. Across the compound, a flag snapped in hot wind. Rotator cuff degeneration. I've got maybe a handful of shots left before it fails completely. Maybe less. Does Cole know? JSOC knows. They sent me anyway. Cal was quiet. When he spoke, voice was soft. Your father would be proud, you know, taking this mission knowing what it'll cost. My father would tell me I'm an idiot for risking permanent injury. Maybe, Cal smiled. But he'd understand. Marcus Holloway never walked away from a mission, even when he should have. You're his daughter. This is who you are. Kira touched dog tags under her uniform. Her father's tags given at his funeral. Worn every day since. I missed a shot 3 years ago, she heard herself say. Kandahar. 2 Marines died because I couldn't make the kill. Marcus Hayes and Devin Wright. I carry letters to their mothers in my bag. Never sent them. Never had courage. Cal's expression softened. Kira, if I make this shot, if I save those 2,000 lives in Dallas, maybe I earn the right to apologize for the 2 I couldn't save. Maybe that's how this balances. That's not how it works. You know that. Maybe, but it's all I've got, Cal. He nodded slowly. Understood some burdens couldn't be argued away, only carried until you found a place to set them down. Then let's make sure you're ready. Let's make sure when you take that shot, it counts. They drove to Guadalupe Mountains in a Humvee. Road wound through desert landscape past rock formations like frozen giants. Cal drove. Kira sat passenger seat, notebook open, reviewing calculations performed 1,000 times. Mathematics were beautiful in precision. Bullet mass times velocity, air resistance, gravitational acceleration, Coriolis effect from Earth's rotation, all coming together in single moment when her finger would press trigger and change the world for someone 2,300 meters away. Remember first time you shot your dad's Barrett? Cal asked, breaking comfortable silence. Kira smiled despite herself. I was 16, thought I was hot shit because I'd shot his .308 4 years. The 50 cal knocked me on my ass. Your father laughed so hard he nearly fell over. Then made me do it again and again until I learned to respect the recoil. He was a good man, best Marine I served with. Had this way of making you want to be better just by how he carried himself. Kira's throat tightened. 8 years since funeral. 8 years grief still came in waves. He died too young. Burn pit exposure. Half the guys from Desert Storm dealing with same shit. Cancer that doesn't care how tough you are or how many wars you survived. Cal's hands tightened on wheel. But he was proud of you right to the end. Used to brag about his daughter, the Army sniper. Said you were twice the shooter he was. That's not true. Maybe not, but he believed it. That's what matters. The range facility appeared. Simple setup. Concrete shooting platforms, steel targets, various distances, small building for equipment, storage. But it sat 8,200 feet elevation, almost exactly matching the hide site they'd use in Big Bend. Kira got out, breathed thin mountain air. Her body knew immediately something was different. Air density at this altitude would affect bullet velocity, trajectory, everything. Good. This was where she'd verified data, ensure calculations matched reality. She unloaded the Barrett case, carried it to nearest platform. Cal set up spotting scope while she assembled rifle with ritual precision, 10,000 times practiced. 38 seconds later, Barrett was ready. Kira loaded 5 rounds. Federal match ammunition, 660-grain projectiles, hand-loaded to exact specifications. Each round weighed within .2 grains of others. Consistency was everything at extreme range. She settled into position. Concrete warm under her body. Barrett's familiar weight pressed her shoulder. Pain began immediately. Kira breathed through it. Focused. 2,000 meters downrange, a steel silhouette waited. Wind, she asked Cal. 4 miles per hour left to right. Mirage indicates consistent across range. Kira made adjustments. Elevation for 2,000-meter distance. Windage for 4 mile per hour crosswind. Altitude correction for thin air. Crosshairs settled on target. Breathing slowed. Heart rate dropped. World narrowed to scope picture. She pressed trigger. Barrett roared. Recoil slammed shoulder like battering ram. White-hot pain exploded through joint, radiating down arm and up neck. Kira stayed in scope. Watched vapor trail. Counted seconds. 2.6 seconds after shot, steel target rang with impact. Center mass, Cal reported. That's a hit. Kira worked bolt. Chambered another round. pain in shoulder already building layers of agony stacking. She fired again, and again, and again. By the time she'd fired 65 rounds over 2 hours, her right arm was nearly useless. Shoulder joint swollen hot and angry under skin. When she finally sat down, rifle hands shook so badly she couldn't hold a pen steady. Cal helped her into Humvee without comment, drove back toward El Paso in silence. Kira leaned head against window watching desert pass, sunsetting painting rocks red and gold. Tomorrow morning she'd take the shot that would either save 2,000 lives or add 2 more names to the list of people she'd failed. Her shoulder throbbed with every heartbeat, but data in notebook was solid. Rifle was zeroed, calculations verified. All that remained was execution, and the fear that this time, like Kandahar, her body would fail when it mattered most. 2,147 hours, Joint Task Force Facility, El Paso. The operations center hummed with controlled energy. Tactical displays showed satellite feeds of Cordero's compound updating every 30 seconds. Radio chatter crackled as various elements checked in. SEAL Team 3 finalizing assault plans. Aviation units conducting pre-flight checks. Intelligence analysts monitoring communications intercepts. Kira sat alone in a corner notebook, open reviewing data already memorized. Numbers burned into her brain, but looking at them gave her hands something to do besides shake. Her shoulder was wrapped in ice-cold pack, strapped tight against swollen joint. Dr. Kimball's words echoed, 6 months until you can't lift your arm. 1 year until joint replacement. She'd fired 65 rounds today. Probably accelerated that timeline by months. Worth it if tomorrow's shot counted. Lieutenant Commander Quentin Drake approached 2 cups of coffee in hand. He set one next to her notebook, pulled up a chair. 38 years old according to his file. 16 years with SEALs. 2 Iraq deployments, 3 Afghanistan. The kind of operator who'd seen enough combat to understand what tomorrow meant. Thought you might need this, he said. Long night ahead. Kira nodded, thanks, wrapped hands around the cup. Warmth felt good. Drake was quiet, studying satellite imagery on nearest screen. Can I ask you something, Staff Sergeant? Go ahead. 3 of our best snipers said this shot couldn't be done. What makes you think you can make it? Fair question. Asked without challenge, just genuine curiosity. Kira sipped coffee before answering. I don't know if I can. The distance, angle, wind variables, it's all at the edge of what's possible. Maybe past the edge. She met his eyes. But someone has to try. If not me, then who? Drake nodded slowly. My team goes in 30 seconds after your shot. If you miss, if Cordero makes it inside, we're assaulting a hardened position with alerted enemy. Good men might die. I know. But you're taking the shot anyway. Yes. Why? Kira closed her notebook, touched dog tags under uniform. 3 years ago, I missed a shot I should have made. 2 Marines died. Since then, I've carried their names like stones in my chest. Tomorrow, I get a chance to save 2,000 people those Marines never got to meet. Maybe that doesn't balance scales, but it's the closest I'll ever get. Drake was quiet for a long moment, then extended his hand. Honored to work with you, ma'am. They shook, his grip firm, warrior's acknowledgement of another warrior. Honors mine, Lieutenant Commander. At 2300 hours, Admiral Cole gathered everyone for final brief. Room fell silent as he stood at table head. Listen up. We execute in 4 hours. Staff Sergeant Holloway and Master Chief Brennan insert to hide site at 0300. Security element positions 0315. Assault team stages 0400, 3 kilometers from target. Shot window opens 0730. Questions. A young SEAL mid-20s with corporal stripes raised his hand. Name tape read, Mercer. Sir, backup plan if shot fails. Cole's expression hardened. There is no backup plan, Corporal. We have 1 shooter, 1 window, 1 chance. If we fail tomorrow, Cordero disappears with his Iranian contacts and 2,000 American civilians die 4th of July. So we don't fail. Clear. Clear, sir. Cole turned to Kira. Staff Sergeant, anything you need from us. Kira stood, every eye focused on her. Just one thing, sir. When I make this shot, I need your word. The after-action report stays classified. No press, no medals, no recognition. I don't want families in Dallas knowing my name or what I did. They deserve to be safe without knowing details of how we kept them that way. Cole studied her. Understanding passed between them. You have my word. Thank you, sir. Briefing ended. Operators dispersed to prepare equipment, grab what sleep they could. Kira returned to her gear, began familiar ritual of pre-combat preparation. She broke down Barrett, completely inspected every component, cleaned and oiled each piece, reassembled it. Process took 45 minutes. Her hands knew the work so well she could do it blind. Cal found her there working in silence. You should try to sleep. Can't. Too wired. He settled onto floor next to her back against wall. Neither spoke for a while. Just two old soldiers comfortable in shared silence. Your father used to do same thing before missions, Cal said eventually. Couldn't sleep. Would clean weapons 3, 4 times. Drive everyone crazy with obsessing. Kira smiled despite tension. What did you do? Told him stories. Anything to get his mind somewhere else. Cal shifted position. You want to hear one? Sure. Fallujah 2004. Your father and I attached to Marine Rifle Company providing sniper overwatch during Second Battle for City. Worst urban combat since Hue in Vietnam. Every building potential fortress, every window a firing position. Kira's hands slowed on rifle. She'd heard some father's war stories, but not this one. We set up in building overlooking major intersection. 3-story apartment complex, good fields of fire. Your father took east-facing window, I took west. Our job was cover a convoy moving through our sector. What happened? Insurgents hit convoy with IED disabled lead vehicle. Marines pinned down, taking fire from multiple directions. Your father and I went to work. He took targets, his side, I took mine. Steady, professional, exactly like we'd trained. Cal paused, remembering. Then your father's rifle jammed. Defective round stuck case. Middle of firefight, his weapons down. I saw him working charging handle trying to clear it. Saw frustration on his face. What did he do? Grabbed sidearm, moved to my position, started calling corrections for me. Turned himself into my spotter on the fly. We worked like that 40 minutes. Me shooting him, reading wind and range, coordinating with Marines below. We killed 11 insurgents that day. Saved that convoy. Cal met Kira's eyes. Afterwards, I asked how he stayed so calm when his rifle failed. Know what he said? What? He said, mission doesn't care if your equipment fails. Mission doesn't care if you're scared or tired or hurt. Mission only cares if you adapt and find a way to complete it. That was your father. Never quit. Always found a way. Kira's throat tightened. She could hear her father's voice in those words, see his weathered face. I miss him. I know, but Kira, he's still with you in how you approach your craft, in how you accept impossible missions because someone has to, in how you carry a responsibility without complaint. Cal's voice softened. Tomorrow when you're behind that Barrett, he'll be there too. I guarantee it. At 0200 hours, Kira suited up, full combat gear, plate carrier, ammunition pouches, radio, medical kit, Barrett in drag bags strapped across her back. Weight pressed down on bad shoulder immediately. 30 pounds rifle plus 60 pounds gear. 90 pounds total on joint, held together by damaged tendons and scar tissue. She adjusted straps trying to distribute load. Every movement sent pain shooting through shoulder. Cal appeared. Let me help. I can manage. Kira, his voice carried weight of 3 decades combat experience. Pride doesn't complete missions. Teamwork does. Let me help you. She hesitated, then nodded. Cal adjusted straps, redistributing weight to her left shoulder and hips. Relief was immediate, though shame of needing help burned. Better? Yeah, thanks. That's what spotters are for, not just calling wind. They moved to staging area where 4 MRAPs idled, engines rumbling in pre-dawn darkness. Drake's security element, 8 SEALs checked weapons and comms with practiced efficiency. Corporal Wade Mercer approached Kira, young face serious under helmet. Staff Sergeant, can I ask something before we roll? Go ahead, Corporal. Do you ever get scared before a mission like this? Kira considered the question. Thought about lying, giving warrior answer. But she remembered being his age looking for truth from experienced operators. Every time, fear means you understand stakes, means you respect what you're about to do. Anyone who tells you they're not scared before a mission like this is either lying or doesn't grasp reality. How do you function through it? I use it as fuel. Fear sharpens my focus, makes me double-check calculations, forces me to respect every variable. Trick isn't eliminating fear. It's making it work for you instead of against you. Wade nodded, absorbing. Thank you, ma'am. You're going to do fine tomorrow, Corporal. Trust your training, trust your teammates, rest follows. At 02:15 hours, convoy rolled out. 4 MRAPs moving through darkness, running without lights, using night vision and GPS to navigate rough terrain. Kira sat in second vehicle, squeezed between Cal and Barrett case. Armored truck bucked and swayed over uneven ground, each jolt sending fresh pain through shoulder. She focused on breathing. In through nose 4 counts, out through mouth 6 counts. Meditation technique from sniper school, back when she was 25 and invincible. 22 years ago, a lifetime. Drive took 90 minutes winding through desert valleys and rocky hills. They crossed into Big Bend just before 0400 entering no man's land, where cartel and government forces played eternal cat and mouse. Drake's voice crackled through radio. All elements, 10 minutes from drop point. Final comms check. Each vehicle responded in turn. All systems green. Kira checked gear one more time. Rifle, ammunition, rangefinder, ballistic computer, water. Everything she'd need for next 5 hours in hindsight. MRAP slowed, then stopped. Rear ramp dropped, revealing darkness and stars. "This is your stop," driver said. "Good hunting, Staff Sergeant." Kira and Cal exited into cool night air. MRAPs pulled away immediately, disappearing into darkness to minimize noise and exposure. Silence descended, just wind and distant coyote call. "Ridge is 300 meters northeast," Cal whispered, checking GPS. "We low-crawl last 100 to avoid skylining." They moved through darkness like ghosts, slow, deliberate. Every step placed carefully to avoid noise. Barrett case on Kira's back felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Her shoulder screamed with each movement. 90 minutes later, they reached Ridgecrest. Kira went to belly, low-crawled, final 100 meters to position Cal identified during reconnaissance. Small depression in rocks, natural concealment, perfect line of sight across valley to Cordero's compound. Kira settled into position, began setting up Barrett while Cal established spotting scope. Eastern sky just beginning to lighten. Dawn perhaps 40 minutes away. "Range to target balcony," Kira whispered. Cal activated laser rangefinder painted compound. 2,387 meters. Confirmed. Kira's hands moved automatically, setting up bipod, adjusting scope, preparing rifle for shot that would come in 3 hours. As full dawn broke, Kira got first clear look at target. Compound sat in natural bowl, protected by ridges on 3 sides. Adobe walls reinforced with concrete. Guard towers at corners. Armed men patrolling perimeter. And the balcony. Second floor eastern exposure overlooking valley. Right where intelligence said. Through scope at maximum magnification, she could see details. Wrought iron railing, tile floor, shadows cast by building. Kira's breathing stopped. Layout was identical to Kandahar. Same balcony configuration, same dimensions, same site picture. Kandahar, Afghanistan, 3 years earlier. Memory hit like physical blow, dragging her back through time. Different continent, different mission. Same hide site setup, same Barrett M82, same responsibility. Taliban commander in crosshairs. Mohammed Zarif, responsible for 17 IED attacks. High-value target, 2,150 meters from her position to his compound. Perfect conditions, clear sky, steady wind, everything aligned. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes' voice on radio overwatch. "This is Assault Team Alpha. In position, waiting for your shot." Corporal Devin Wright's voice. "Kids depending on you, Ghost. Make it count." Kira's finger on trigger. Crosshairs settled on Zarif's chest as he stood on balcony talking on satellite phone. Breathing slowed, heart rate dropped, world narrowed to scope picture. She began taking up trigger pressure. Then wind shifted, just 2 miles per hour, changed so subtle mirage barely flickered. But at 2,100 meters, 2 miles per hour meant 6 inches drift. Kira saw it happening, felt shift in her gut, knew she should reset, recalculate. But Marcus and Devin were waiting. Assault team exposed. Timing critical. She made adjustment in her head, added half-mil windage. Hoped it was enough. Pressed trigger. Barrett roared. Bullet flew true arcing across desert and missed Zarif's chest by 4 inches. Round struck wall behind him, spraying concrete fragments. He dove for cover, already screaming orders. Kira worked bolt, tried to chamber another round, but Zarif was gone, disappeared into building. "Negative impact," she transmitted. "Target is mobile." Marcus's voice came back tight with tension. "Copy. Proceeding with assault." Next 6 hours were nightmare. Zarif called in reinforcements. Assault turned into siege. Marcus and his team fought their way out, but 2 men didn't make it. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes, 24 years old, shot through neck during exfiltration. Corporal Devin Wright, 22, killed by RPG during fighting Zarif coordinated. Both dead because she'd missed by 4 inches. Present. Big Bend, Texas. "Kira." Cal's voice urgent but quiet. "Talk to me. You're hyperventilating." She pulled away from scope, gasping, heart racing, palms slick with sweat. PTSD. Flashback had her in its grip, pulling her back to that day, that failure. "Same layout," she managed. "The balcony, it's same as Kandahar." Cal moved closer, hand on her shoulder. Grounding, present. "Look at me. Not scope. Me." Kira forced her eyes to his face. That was then. This is now. Different continent, different mission, different you. You're not that shooter anymore. You've made 100 successful shots since Kandahar. You've saved lives. You've completed missions. One failure doesn't define you. 2 men died because I missed. 2 men died in combat. War killed them, Kira, not you. You did your best with information you had. That's all any of us can do. She wanted to believe him, wanted to let go of guilt haunting her 3 years, but faces of Marcus and Devon wouldn't fade. What if I miss again? Then you miss, but Kira, listen, you won't. No, why was? Why? Because you've spent 3 years making sure you never make that mistake again. Every range session, every round you've fired, every calculation you've perfected, it's all been preparation for this moment. You're ready. Your father trained you to be ready. Trust that. Kira took shaking breath, then another. Slowly panic receded. Heartbeat normalized. Cal was right. She wasn't same shooter who'd missed in Kandahar. She'd grown, learned, refined her craft through pain and practice. Okay, I'm okay. You sure? Yeah, thanks, Cal. He nodded, returned to spotting scope, gave her space to recover. Kira settled back behind Barrett, looked through scope again. Balcony was just a balcony now. Not ghost from past, just metal and tile in space where a man would die. At 0630 hours, Cal's radio crackled. Overwatch, this is command. Updated intelligence. Be advised, Cordero received shipment last night. Counter-sniper equipment and Iranian military advisors. Assess high probability of enemy sniper overwatch. Kira's blood went cold. Copy, Cal transmitted. We'll keep eyes out. He turned to Kira. That changes things. How many positions could provide overwatch on our hide site? Cal scanned surrounding ridges with spotting scope. 3, maybe 4 viable positions. If Cordero's smart, he's got someone watching high ground. Which means when I fire, they'll see muzzle flash. And shoot back, Kira thought through tactical situation. If enemy sniper positioned somewhere across valley, her shot would give away position. She'd be exposed vulnerable to counterfire. Drake's voice came through command net. Overwatch a solid element. We can abort, wait for better conditions. Admiral Cole followed immediately. Holloway, it's your call. We can wave off if you assess risk too high. Kira looked through scope at compound. Thought about intercepted communications. Dirty bomb components. 4th of July attack planned for Dallas. 2,000 lives. Negative, we proceed. If there's counter-sniper, I'll deal with it. How? Cole asked. I see threat, I eliminate it first. Then I take primary target. That gives you maybe 30 seconds between shots. Can you do it? Kira's shoulder throbbed. Each shot fired brought her closer to permanent failure of joint. Yes, sir, I can do it. Roger, your mission. Good hunting. Radio went silent. Cal was looking at her. That was either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. Kira checked watch. 0642 hours. Less than an hour until shot window open. Start scanning for enemy positions. If someone's out there, I want to know before I fire. For next 40 minutes, Cal systematically glassed every ridge and elevation that could provide firing position. Kira watched compound noting guard rotations, memorizing details. At 0715 hours, Cal stiffened. Contact, 11 o'clock opposite ridge, approximately 1,840 meters. Kira swung scope to indicated position. Took her moment to find him camouflaged well, but there a man in hide sight rifle with large scope scanning valley, scanning toward their position. Iranian advisor, Cal said. Look at rifle. That's a Syad .50 caliber. Same class as your Barrett. Kira studied him through scope. Professional setup. Good discipline. This wasn't random cartel gunman. This was trained military sniper. If I shoot Cordero first, he'll see muzzle flash and engage. Probably kill you before you can relocate. So I shoot him first, which alerts compound. Cordero might not appear if they go high alert. Kira ran through tactical problem. 2 targets, 1 opportunity, no room for error. I take counter sniper, then immediately swing to Cordero's balcony. 2 shots, 30 seconds. It's doable. Kira, you told doctor you had maybe handful of shots left. You're going to burn 2 in 30 seconds. You have better option. Cal was quiet. They both knew there wasn't one. Okay, we do it your way, but if your shoulder fails, it won't. Kira's hands were steady now. Fear transformed into focus. This was what she trained for. This was why she'd spent 3 years refining her craft. She reached into her medical kit, pulled out single syringe. Cortisone injection. Last one Dr. Kimball had given her. What's that? Cal asked. Pain management. Will kill pain for about 6 hours, but accelerates joint damage. Kira, I need my shoulder functional for these shots. This is the only way. She loaded syringe with steady hands, injected corticosteroid directly into joint space. Relief was immediate. Pain that had been constant companion for months faded to dull background ache. How long until it kicks in fully? Already working. Peak effectiveness in about 15 minutes. Cal checked watch. That's 0730, right when shot window opens. Timing is everything in this profession. At 0722 hours movement on Cordero's balcony, Kira's heart rate spiked. Too early. Target wasn't supposed to appear for another 8 minutes. Through scope, she watched two men step on the balcony. Both wore similar clothing. Dark pants, white shirts, one clean-shaven nervous, one with scar on left cheek. Which one? Cal asked, already ranging targets. Kira zoomed maximum magnification. Studied faces against intelligence photos she'd memorized. The scar. That was key. Cordero had distinctive scar from knife fight in youth. Right target, the one with scar. You sure? Positive. Cal marked position. Range 2,387. Wind 5 miles per hour southwest. Thermals building but steady. Kira's hands moved to adjust Barrett's position. Her shoulder exploded with pain. The joint seized, completely locked. She couldn't move rifle. Cal, she gasped. I can't. My shoulder. He was beside her instantly. Saw situation immediately. Talk me through it. What do you need? Humiliation burned almost as hot as pain. 22 years as sniper, couldn't even position own weapon. But mission trumped pride. Angle at 8 degrees right, elevation up 3 clicks. Cal made adjustments with steady hands. Positioned rifle exactly where she needed. That good? Kira settled back behind scope. Crosshairs were perfect on counter sniper. Perfect. Thank you. Her right arm mostly useless now. She'd have to work bolt with left-hand swing rifle with core strength. Somehow make this happen. Kira, Cal said quietly, you don't have to do this. We can abort. She thought about Marcus Hayes and Devin Wright, thought about 2,000 people in Dallas who didn't know their lives hung in balance. Yes, I do. She settled crosshairs on Iranian sniper's chest, 1,840 meters, upward angle, different windage than Cordero shot. Breathing slowed, heart rate dropped, pain in shoulder faded into background noise. All that existed was crosshairs and target. Her left hand found trigger, took up slack. 3 pounds pressure, 4, 4.5. Barrett spoke. Recoil hammered shoulder. Pain was transcendent, blinding absolute. But Kira stayed in scope. Watched bullets flight. 2.4 seconds later, Iranian sniper's chest exploded red. Body jerked backward, disappeared from view. Hit, Cal confirmed. Target down. Kira's left hand was already moving. Worked bolt awkwardly, fighting through pain. Ejected spent case. Chambered fresh round. Swung rifle toward Cordero's balcony. Shoulder screamed. Something tore inside joint. She felt it give way, tendons separating from bone. But crosshairs found Cordero. He was still there, frozen, trying to understand why his security sniper just been shot. 2,387 meters, 5 miles per hour southwest wind, thermal currents rising. Kira made adjustments, added corrections for wind and distance. Vision was graying at edges from pain. Right arm hung useless, but left hand was steady on trigger. Wind, she managed to ask. 6 miles per hour now, Cal reported. Still southwest, thermals consistent. Kira added another half mil to windage. Trusted math, trusted training, trusted 22 years experience. Crosshairs settled on Miguel Cordero's chest. She thought of Marcus Hayes, Devin Wright, 2,000 lives in Dallas. Thought of her father teaching her to shoot when she was 12. One shot, one life. Make it count, sweetheart. Kira pressed trigger. Barrett roared for last time. The bullet left Barrett's muzzle at 2,750 feet per second. In first microsecond of flight, copper jacket and lead core spun at 280,000 revolutions per minute, stabilized by rifling that had cut spiral grooves into soft metal. Kira stayed in scope, watching through haze of pain that threatened to pull her under. Right shoulder was destroyed, she knew with absolute certainty. Felt tendons separated from bone joint capsule torn, everything that held articulation together now shredded by repeated recoil trauma. But bullet was flying. That was all that mattered. Through Leopold's scope at 35 power magnification, she tracked vapor trail. Atmospheric disturbance left in projectile's wake, visible only to those who knew how to see. 1 second elapsed. Bullet had traveled 2,700 feet, climbing on arc toward trajectory apex. Wind pushed it right, 3 feet drift already accumulated. Gravity pulled down, fighting initial velocity. 2 seconds. Bullet reached peak 38 feet above Kira's line of sight. It had traveled 5,400 feet now, more than mile. Velocity decreasing as air resistance ate momentum. Miguel Cordero stood on balcony, frozen. Survival instincts, screaming warnings that his conscious mind couldn't process fast enough. Sound of shot wouldn't reach him for another second. He had no idea death was already in flight. 3 seconds. Bullet descended, now gravity accelerating downward arc. 6,800 feet traveled. Coriolis effect, Earth's rotation beneath Bullet's flight path, had pushed it 3.2 inches right. Kira had accounted for this in calculations. Thermal currents rising from valley floor created additional turbulence, buffeting projectile. But Bullet was heavy, 660 grains of precisely manufactured metal. It pushed through disturbances, staying true to ballistic trajectory. 3.2 seconds after leaving, muzzle bullet struck Miguel Cordero in center of his chest. 50 caliber round carried 11,000 foot-pounds of energy at impact. It punched through sternum and ribs like paper. Destroyed his heart instantly. Exited through back and spray of red mist and bone fragments. Cordero's body lifted off ground, hurled backward by massive kinetic transfer. He was dead before nervous system could register pain. Through scope, Kira saw it all. Impact. Spray of blood. Body falling out of view. Hit, she whispered, voice barely audible. Confirmed kill. Cal's response came as if from very far away. Target down, center mass, perfect shot. Compound below erupted in chaos. Guards ran in every direction, weapons raised, searching for threat they couldn't locate. Body double on balcony, screamed diving for cover. Someone fired weapon blindly into air. Kira tried to work bolt for follow-up shot. Right arm wouldn't respond. Hung limp and useless at side. She reached across with left hand, grabbed bolt handle, tried to pull back. Movement shifted weight onto destroyed shoulder. White-hot agony exploded through entire right side. Vision went black at edges. She heard sound, realized distantly it was her own scream. Cal's hands caught her before she collapsed completely. Easy, easy, I've got you. Follow up, Kira gasped. Need to. Shot's done, Kira. You did it. Now let me get you stable. Drake's voice crackled through radio, professional excitement barely controlled. Overwatch assault element. We observed impact. Moving to execute breach in 30 seconds. Outstanding shooting. Admiral Cole's voice followed. All elements proceed as planned. Overwatch, what's your status? Cal keyed, radio, eyes never leaving Kira's face. Command Overwatch. Primary mission complete. Shooter injured but stable. We'll hold position and provide Overwatch for assault. Copy Overwatch. Stand by. Cal eased Kira onto her back, cradling her head. Her face was gray slick with sweat. Pain was beyond anything she'd experienced. Worse than any injury in 4 combat deployments. Shoulder to Cal asked, though he already knew. Destroyed. Complete rotator cuff rupture. Maybe worse. Each word cost her. Can't move arm. Cal pulled out medical kit, found morphine syringe. This will help with pain. No. Kira's left hand caught his wrist. Need to stay alert. Need to provide Overwatch. Kira, you can barely stay conscious. 2,000 lives, Cal. We don't know what's in that compound. If Drake's team runs into trouble, they need me covering them. Cal hesitated, saw steel in her eyes, absolute refusal to quit, even with body falling apart. Goddamn stubborn Holloways, he muttered. But he put away morphine. Instead helped her roll onto left side position Barrett, where she could see through scope with good eye. I'll spot. You tell me if you see any threats. Kira nodded, couldn't trust voice. Through scope, she watched compound. 3 kilometers away, she knew Drake's SEAL team was fast roping from helicopters onto compound roof, breaching doors, moving through structure with practiced violence. Fighter appeared in one compound windows, AK-47, raised toward roof. Target, Kira managed. 2nd floor east window. I see him, Cal said. Range 1,920 meters. Yours. Kira couldn't make a shot. Couldn't even chamber round with one arm. Cal didn't hesitate. Pulled out his own rifle. Mark 13.300 Winchester Magnum. Settled into position. Found target through scope. 5 seconds later, his rifle cracked. Fighter and window dropped. Good shot, Kira whispered. For next 8 minutes, they worked together. Cal shooting Kira, calling targets with superior optic. 2 more fighters fell to Cal's rifle before compound went quiet. Drake's voice came through radio, slightly breathless. Command assault element. Compound secured. Primary target confirmed KIA. 2 secondary targets captured alive. We've recovered extensive intelligence materials. requesting immediate exfil for sensitive documents. Copy assault element. Exfil birds inbound ETA 12 minutes. Cole's voice cut in. Overwatch status. Cal looked at Kira. She nodded weakly. Command primary shooter requires immediate medical evacuation. Serious injury to right shoulder. Request priority medevac. Understood. Birds will extract your position after picking up assault element. Hang tight. Next 12 minutes were among longest of Kira's life. Adrenaline that carried her through mission was fading, leaving only pain and exhaustion. Vision kept graying out. Breathing shallow. Cal stayed close, monitoring vitals, keeping her talking. Stay with me, Kira. Tell me about your father. First time he took you shooting. She forced words out, using memories as anchor to consciousness. I was 12. Ranch in West Texas. He set up targets 100 yards. Gave me his .308. Showed me how to breathe, find natural respiratory pause. What did you hit? Missed first 3 shots. Started crying. Thought I'd disappointed him. What did Marcus say? He said missing was part of learning. Said every great shooter has pile of failures behind every success. Made me keep shooting until I hit target. Ghost of smile crossed Kira's face. Took me 40 rounds. But I finally hit it. And he was proud. So proud. Took me for ice cream after. Best day of my childhood. Sound of helicopter rotors grew louder. Cal helped Kira sit up, supported her weight as Black Hawk flared and landed 30 meters from position. 2 Navy corpsmen jumped out with stretcher. How bad? Senior corpsman asked, already assessing Kira's condition. Complete rotator cuff rupture, possibly worse, Cal said. Patient refused morphine to maintain overwatch capability. Corpsman's eyebrows rose. That must hurt like hell. It does, Kira confirmed. They loaded her onto stretcher with professional efficiency, started IV line, took vitals, wrapped shoulder in temporary immobilization sling. Cal climbed into helicopter beside her Barrett case in his hands. I've got your rifle, not leaving it behind. As helicopter lifted off, Kira caught glimpse of compound below. Smoke rising where Drake's team breached. Bodies being loaded into bags. Balcony where Miguel Cordero had died. 2,387 meters, 1 shot, 2,000 lives saved. The cost her career, her identity, the thing she'd built her entire adult life around. Worth it, she told herself. Had to be worth it. Flight to field hospital in El Paso took 40 minutes. Kira drifted in and out of consciousness, held conscious only by Cal's steady voice and Corman's monitoring. They landed on hospital roof. Medical personnel swarmed helicopter. Kira was rushed into examination room, transferred to table surrounded by doctors and nurses. Staff Sergeant Holloway, I'm Dr. Patricia Morrison. I need to examine your shoulder. This will hurt. I'm sorry. Kira nodded, braced herself. Examination was agony. Even gentlest probing sent lightning bolts of pain through entire right side. Dr. Morrison's face grew progressively more grim as she worked. Finally, she stepped back. Okay, here's the situation. You've got complete rotator cuff tear-torn labrum, significant inflammation source, and what looks like bone spurs developing for months. You need surgery immediately. How bad is it? Dr. Morrison met her eyes, professional honesty. Damage is extensive. With surgery and aggressive physical therapy, you might regain 70% function. Might. But Staff Sergeant, you'll never shoot .50 caliber rifle again. Joint can't handle that recoil anymore. I'm sorry. Kira had known this was coming, accepted it moment she'd taken mission. But hearing it confirmed felt like door slamming shut on her life. When can we do surgery? We prep you in 2 hours, but I need you to understand recovery timeline. Minimum 6 months before shoulder is stable. 12 months before you can attempt any significant weight training. This is career ending. I understand. Dr. Morrison looked at her for a long moment. Saw something in Kira's face that made her ask, was it worth it? Kira thought about Cordero's chest exploding, about dirty bomb components that would never reach Dallas, about 2,000 people who would wake up 4th of July unaware how close they'd come to dying. Yes, it was worth it. After Dr. Morrison left to prep operating room, Cal returned. He'd clearly been arguing with someone outside, face flushed with emotion. Admiral Cole wants to put you in for Medal of Honor. No. Kira, you made longest confirmed kill shot in Army history under impossible conditions while injured. You saved thousands of lives. You deserve recognition. I don't want it. I told Admiral before mission. No press, no medals, no recognition. Wiped off. Kira reached into cargo pocket with left hand, pulled out 2 worn envelopes. Letters to Mrs. Hayes and Mrs. Wright. Because I don't want to be Hero Cal. I want to be someone who did her job and made up for times she failed. These families don't need to know my name. They just need to be safe. Cal took letters, looked at addresses. You're really going to send these? Yeah, I am. I earned that right today, but I don't need metal to go with it. Your father would be proud of you. Kira's throat tightened. I hope so. Cal stayed until they wheeled her into surgery. Last thing she saw before anesthesia took her under was his weathered face and his hand raised in salute. When Kira woke, it was dark outside hospital window. Right side was numb, wrapped in what felt like half the bandages in Army's inventory. Figure sat in chair beside her bed. As vision cleared, she recognized Admiral Cole. Sir. She tried to sit up, failed. At ease, Staff Sergeant. Don't try to move. Cole leaned forward. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by truck. Surgery went well. Dr. Morrison says you'll make full recovery within limitations she discussed. That's good. Cole was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, voice was thick with emotion. I got call this afternoon from my godson, Lieutenant James Hayes. He wanted me to thank you. Kira's breath caught. Lieutenant Hayes, I thought Marcus Hayes was past tense. This is Marcus's younger brother, James. He was 13 when Marcus died in Kandahar. Cole pulled out phone, showed her photo. Young SEAL officer in dress blues standing next to headstone. James joined the Navy to honor his brother's memory. Made it through SEAL training last year. Station Virginia Beach. Kira stared at photo. Marcus Hayes' brother, alive, serving, carrying on. He said he got a letter from you today, addressed to his mother, apologizing for his brother's death, taking responsibility for shot you missed 3 years ago. The letters. Cal must have mailed them while she was in surgery. James wanted me to tell you something. He said his mother cried when she read your letter. Not from anger, from relief. She'd spent 3 years wondering if Marcus's death had meaning. Your letter told her it did, told her someone remembered. Someone cared enough to carry that weight. Kira's eyes burned. I failed him. You're human. Humans fail sometimes. But Kira, you've spent 3 years making sure that failure meant something, making sure you learned from it, making sure you were ready when impossible shot came again. Cole stood, moved to window. Today you eliminated high-value target 3 of our best couldn't touch. You did it injured under extreme stress with everything online. You saved estimated 2,000 American lives. That's not failure, that's heroism. I don't feel like hero. Best ones never do. Cole turned back. I spoke with Dr. Kimball at Fort Benning. She sent over your medical retirement papers. I'm approving them effective immediately. 22 years honorable service, Staff Sergeant. You've earned your rest. Retirement. Word felt final. What about Medal of Honor? Cole smiled slightly. I put in paperwork. You're going to deny it. I'll respect that decision. Operation will be classified and your name redacted from all official reports. You'll disappear into quiet retirement exactly like you wanted. Thank you, sir. No, Kira. Thank you. For your service. For your sacrifice. For being exactly the kind of warrior this country needs but doesn't always deserve. Cole left shortly after. Kira lay in darkness processing everything. Career was over. Shoulder would never fully heal. Things she'd built identity around for 22 years was gone. But 2,000 people in Dallas would live. Marcus Hayes' mother had found peace. Devin Wright's daughter would grow up in a safer world. Scales didn't balance, never would. But maybe they were close enough. Over next 3 days, Kira had visitors. Drake brought entire assault team to thank her. Wade Mercer, young SEAL who'd asked about fear, stood at attention and saluted. Ma'am, I wanted you to know, watching you take that shot, knowing you were injured, knowing what it cost you. That's what I'll remember when I'm scared on my next mission. If you could do that, I can handle whatever comes. Cal visited every day, brought books, talked about her father, made sure she ate when hospital food seemed unappetizing. On third day, unexpected visitor arrived. Older woman, mid-60s, walked into Kira's room with aid of cane. Face was lined with grief that had settled into bones, but eyes were kind. Staff Sergeant Holloway, I'm Patricia Hayes, Marcus's mother. Kira tried to sit up, fumbled with bed controls. Please don't. I know you're recovering. Mrs. Hayes pulled up chair, sat slowly. I got your letter. Mrs. Hayes, I'm so sorry. I should have written years ago. I should have... Stop. Mrs. Hayes' voice was gentle but firm. I didn't come for apologies. I came to thank you. Thank me for carrying my son's memory, for letting his death mean something, for spending 3 years making sure you'd never miss that shot again. Mrs. Hayes reached out, took Kira's left hand in both of hers. Marcus wouldn't want you torturing yourself. He understood risks. He chose to serve knowing some missions go wrong. But you honored him by learning from it, by becoming better, by saving all those lives in Dallas. Tears streamed down Kira's face. He deserved better than I gave him. He got exactly what every soldier hopes for. Someone who cared. Someone who remembered. Someone who made his sacrifice count for something. Mrs. Hayes smiled through own tears. My younger son James is SEAL now. Did Admiral Cole tell you? Yes, ma'am. James says he's alive today because of lessons SEALs learned from what happened in Kandahar. New procedures, better coordination between snipers and assaults teams. Marcus's death led to changes that have saved lives. That's his legacy, and you're part of it. They sat together for a long time, two women connected by grief and redemption. When Mrs. Hayes finally left, she pressed photo into Kira's hand. It showed Marcus Hayes in dress blues, young and proud and alive. On back in Mrs. Hayes's handwriting, thank you for remembering my son. Thank you for honoring his service. You gave him meaning. Patricia Hayes. Kira placed photo on bedside table. It would stay with her for rest of her life. 6 months later. West Texas sun beat down on shooting range as Kira stood watching her husband Michael shoot her father's Barrett M82. Recovery had been brutal. 3 months before she could lift right arm above shoulder height. 5 months before she could drive. Physical therapy sessions were torture relearning basic movements. Shoulder would never perform same way again. But she'd endured, adapted, found new purpose. Michael settled behind Barrett and Kira coached him through fundamentals. Breathe. Find your natural respiratory pause. Gentle pressure on trigger. Don't anticipate shot. Rifle roared. 800 meters downrange steel target rang. Good shot, Kira said. See how much smoother when you didn't rush. Michael looked up, smiling. I had good teacher. They'd grown closer during recovery. Michael had taken leave from work, helped with physical therapy, learned to read her moods when pain was bad or loss of career hit particularly hard. Their marriage had survived what might have broken it, emerged stronger. Kira's phone buzzed. Text from Cal heard back from Army Sniper School. They approved your instructor position. Start date whenever you're ready. Congratulations. Army Sniper School, teaching next generation. She wouldn't pull triggers anymore, but she could pass on 22 years' knowledge. Make sure shooters coming after her were better prepared than she'd been. It wasn't same as doing job, but it was purpose. It was service. It mattered. That evening, Kira sat on porch of ranch house where her father taught her to shoot 35 years ago. Sun-setting painting, Texas sky in shades of red and gold. Barrett case rested against wall closed and locked. Retired like her. Right arm ached constantly now. Wood for rest of life. Permanent reminder of price she'd paid. But somewhere in Dallas, 2,000 people had celebrated 4th of July. Had watched fireworks with families. Had gone to bed safe and alive, never knowing how close they'd come to dying. Marcus Hayes' brother James was serving with SEAL Team 6, carrying on his brother's legacy. Devin Wright's daughter was 6 years old now, growing up in a world where her father's sacrifice had meant something. And Kira Bryn Holloway, 47 years old, retired Army sniper, had finally found peace with ghosts that had haunted her. Her phone rang. Unknown number, but she answered. Staff Sergeant Holloway. Young woman's voice nervous but determined. This is Kira. Ma'am, I'm Private First Class Emma Caldwell. I just got orders to Army Sniper School. My recruiter said you're going to be instructor there. I wanted to introduce myself. Kira smiled. Future calling. Ready to learn. Good to meet you, Private Caldwell. When do you report? 6 weeks, ma'am. I'm nervous. Everyone says sniper school is hardest course in Army. It is. You'll fail more times than you succeed. You'll question whether you belong. You'll want to quit. Kira paused. But if you push through, if you learn from every failure, if you respect craft and responsibility, it carries you'll become something extraordinary. Not because you're special, because you were willing to do the work. Will you teach me, ma'am? That's exactly what I'm going to do, Private Caldwell. See you in 6 weeks. Kira ended call, looked out at sunset. Tomorrow she'd start preparing lesson plans for first class at sniper school. Next week she'd visit Marcus Hayes' grave, pay respects properly. But tonight she simply sat and breathed. Felt West Texas wind on her face. Touched dog tags around her neck. I did it, Dad, she whispered to her father's ghost. One more mission. Made it count. In fading light, Kira could almost see him. Colonel Marcus Holloway standing at porch edge the way he had when she was 12. Smiling that proud smile. Raising one hand in salute. Well done, sweetheart. Well done. Sun disappeared below horizon. Stars emerged endless and bright in clear Texas sky. Kira Bryn Holloway, the ghost, had fired her last shot, had given everything in service to something greater than herself, had found redemption in sacrifice and peace in knowledge that she'd done her duty to absolute limit of her ability. No medals, no recognition, no glory, just quiet service, just honor, just satisfaction of job completed and debt repaid. That was enough. That would always be enough.